What creepypasta scared you so much it wouldn't stop bothering you? I don't know if it's true, but I once saw something about the old Soviet Union about creating zombie-like things and it worked. They sewed a puppy's head to the body of a grown dog, and albeit the puppy wasn't that mentally capable, it still reacted to sounds and stuff, and because that worked they moved on to bringing dead people back to life. They got as far as getting gurgles and movement of the head until they realized what they were doing was messing with Mother Nature. Got me scared of the Soviet Union and zombies actually happening for a long time. Still get squeamish when thinking about it. Baraska. TLDR, kid lives in a sleepy mining town with his best friends, a guy and a girl. Male friend, MF, and female friend, FF, both have K names and red hair, which kid finds a little unusual but whatever. MF and FF eventually develop feelings for each other and the mom of one of them, can't remember which, flips TF out, but they chalk it up to her being kind of a snob and thinking her kid could do better. FF goes missing and kid and MF set out to find her. Eventually they discover her being kept in a bunker with several other girls. It's revealed to them, and to the reader, that there's some kind of problem in the town that causes most of the women to have fertility issues. So the fertile girls or women are kidnapped, imprisoned in the bunker, and raped by the town officials, and the resulting children are sold to couples struggling to conceive. The kids are given names beginning with the first letter of the name of whatever official fathered them. Kid and MF realize MF and FF have red hair and K names because they share a father, and that the mom was so freaked out by their relationship because she realized the kids were unwittingly practicing incest. Edit because I forgot this part. Kid also had an older sister who mysteriously disappeared and was dismissed as a teenage runaway, and who turns up later as one of the mothers in the bunker. Jeff the killer until I realized he was just an emo boy with psychotic behavior. Then I also realized how unrealistic it was. Seriously though, cut his eyelids off so he would never sleep again. How the fuck could he manage to do that and not take out a fucking eye? Also humans need sleep to be able to live, or have energy, see Russian sleep experiment. Also that ruins his super speed, because I take it from someone who tried to run track after a night of MTN, Dew and video games it doesn't work so well. Paraphrasing the hell out of this one. Blink. This could happen in the middle of the night while you're trying to sleep. While you have your eyes tightly shut, you might hear a knock on your window. If you do hear it, you must keep your eyes closed. No matter what you hear next, you must keep your eyes closed. You might next hear footsteps or movement around in the room. You must keep your eyes shut. You might even feel something touching you as you lie on your bed. You must keep your eyes shut. For the rest of the night until dawn, it will try anything to get you to open them. It might shake you around, it might knock things over. You must keep your eyes shut. So this creepypasta is more like a meme made by the Spanish. Its name is Are You Okay, and it comes from Michael Jackson's Annie Are You Okay? And a video on YouTube called My Gal Jackson. He usually comes at late hours, and if he comes for you, Dwayne The Rock will send you an email before Are You Okay comes saying something like, I would have slept because at this hour comes Are You Okay? Then you hear a he or smooth criminal intensifying. He will teleport behind you. To defend from him you gotta scream, EEOO, as hard as you can, so Freddie Mercury comes to protect you because Are You Okay and Freddie Mercury are natural enemies. It does not sound scary, but when you see his face it kinda creeps you out. Just search Are You Okay on YouTube. Edit. Thanks for the upvotes guys. The Backrooms, I love it and hate it at the same time. The reason why it freaks me out is because my grandparents used to own a company, and they had a place in an office complex, and it was actually similar to the Backrooms except the walls were just all white. It wasn't very large, but it had a few rooms and hallways and such, and had the old moist carpet smell and fluorescent lights with the humbuzz. Well, one time when I was a lot younger, my grandmother had to get something from the office and I had to go with her. So we walk in and I go to explore the place cause why not? We were the only ones there, and it was dead silent except for the lights and my footsteps. And I just walked around and it just felt like I was being watched. I got a terrible gut feeling, and so I just run out of the building and just wait outside. So reading about the Backrooms just gives me that feeling, but just 50 times worse. Look, having nuclear, my uncle was a great professor and scientist and engineer, Dr. John Trump at MIT, Good genes, very good genes. Okay, very smart. The Wharton School of Finance, very good, very smart, you know. If you're a conservative Republican, if I were liberal, if I ran as a liberal Democrat, they would say I'm one of the smartest people anywhere in the world, it's true. But when you're a conservative Republican they try, oh, do they do a number? That's why I always start off, went to Wharton, was a good student, went there, did this, built a fortune. You know I have to give my credentials all the time, because we are a little disadvantaged. But you look at the nuclear deal, the thing that really bothers me, it would have been so easy. And it's not as important as these lives are. Nuclear is so powerful. My uncle explained that to me many years ago, the power, and that was 35 years ago. He would explain the power of what's going to happen, and he was right. Who would have thought? But when you look at what's going on with the 4 prisoners, now it used to be 3, now it's 4. But when it was 3 and even now, I would have said it's all in the messenger, fellas. And it is fellas because, you know, they haven't figured that the women are smarter right now than the men. So, you know, it's gonna take them about another 150 years, but the Persians are great negotiators, the Iranians are great negotiators, so, and they just killed us. This is horrible. I've read it once and never found it again, but the one about the boogeyman monster in the closet. Basically, a kid narrates in first person that his entire life, there was a monster in his closet stalking him around bedtime. The monster couldn't get to him when he was completely under the sheets. If he ever was not completely under the sheets, he would feel the monster creep up closer, but he always pulled the sheets over him in time. It didn't matter where he moved to, the monster was always there. One day, now the kid is at college in his dorm and loses his virginity and sleeps without being covered in sheet. The monster pulls him into the closet and holds tight to him. The kid eventually is able to break free and walks into the darkness forever, until he finds a closet door and starts stalking on a little girl. He longs to be with her and can't touch her while she is under the covers. But he knows that even if he has to wait forever, at some point she will forget to cover herself to sleep and he will pull her into the closet, and that, unlike the one that took me, once I hold you, I'll never let you go. I can't remember if it was a no sleep or let's not meet, but it was about a guy who went for a walk at 3 a.m. and sees this guy bending weird, practically skipping and prancing, and took off running in the opposite direction, and then came darting back full force at the narrator. It scared me because the following week after reading it, it happened to my sister and cousin, and my mom, and I witnessed it. Their ride bailed and the bar they were at let out, so they walked to a Walgreens down the street, which used to be 24 hours. We found out that night it wasn't. We saw a guy doing the same maneuvers and behaviors and eventually running full force towards them, and we are watching this happen while on the phone with the girls, and my mom floors it, runs the red, and almost hit the guy pulling into the parking lot. Got the attention of some cops and told them what happened. We don't know what happened after they let us go. Smiley man and goat man. I live in Sweden, where during winter the sun sets at 4. This means that when I go home from my school, that's located in the nearby city, during this time of the year, I go through the same kind of environment as the stories of Smiley man. Multiple times I have frozen mid-step when seeing someone coming in my direction a dark and rainy evening. My school is far away from home though, and the last kilometer is a lonely road which have the thickest, darkest wood in one side. Almost every time I go past there I call someone to talk to, so my brain doesn't make up sounds coming from the forest. It mostly works, but sometimes I even cry from stress not knowing what's behind the dense wall trees, feeling watched. I heard this on one of the early creepypasta episodes of last podcast on the left. It was about a guy in Iraq whose platoon was clearing an abandoned neighborhood in Baghdad when one of the squads found what appeared to be some sort of torture chamber in a small shack on the roof of a building. Unlike most Iraqi interrogation facilities, this one had a more sinister, sex dungeon, a toy box killer trailer vibe going on. And it was covered in blood. Having been a medic out with the grunts on similar patrols, I could easily picture this. While you see lots of crazy stuff when you go into a building after the occupants abruptly leave in the middle of doing whatever it was they were doing, or the bodies of those who weren't fast enough, you don't see a lot of places that were most likely the den of some really bad person. I don't know, I can just picture this in my head and it never left me. NSFW, oh boy. I got a good one. Now this one isn't such a creepypasta, more just a rumor that once went around that I heard from my friend one late night of gaming. This story is called Baby Burger. It was originally sourced as a deep web video, but went around as a creepypasta. If you have a weak stomach, or are eating something, please stop reading right now. The scene is set in a kitchen with a woman and a baby. In the background is a window, of which you can see a car pull up. Two men get out and go off camera. They appear in the kitchen. The men both attempt to kidnap the lady and baby with one of those stereotypical kidnap sacks. After they succeed in kidnapping her, the camera goes black for about 3 seconds. They reappear in the deep forest with the woman tied next to a tree with duct tape over her mouth. The baby is crying in the hands of one of the men. He then goes to rape the baby for multiple minutes. Once he is done, they turn the camera to the left to see a wood chipper. The man then puts the baby in the chipper, still crying, and turns it on. Now the baby is turning into a blood and burger smoothie, and he eventually turns off the chipper. After the chipper is turned off, the two men start eating the raw baby meat from the chipper. And that's it. I'm very sorry. I used to love getting creeped the fuck out reading or listening to those stories, but the only one that really stuck with me for a while is the one about a doctor turning girls into sex toys by amputating their arms and legs and making them blind and deaf and whatnot. I think it's mostly the fact that I'm sure something like that happened at least to an extent IRL, and that people get off to that. If someone wants to find it, you can comment the link for others. I'm not going looking for it. Also, Ted the Caver. I don't care about the paranormal aspect, but it's really well written, and those photos are for sure real. Spelunking can get fucking insane. Imagine a whole mountain resting on your chest basically. I was camping a few years back, and I don't usually get freaked out by anything, but my friend told me a story about camping. It was called something along the lines of Our Last Camping Trip, or something like that. I kept hearing noises and didn't get to sleep until late at night, probably about 5 to 6 a.m. I woke up and nobody was in the tent. I found a note saying they had gone out, and would be back in a few hours. Obviously I wasn't able to know how long they had been gone for. I exited the tent, because I needed to piss. I felt and heard something approaching from behind, and thought, oh, it's probably my friend. It was, but I didn't know for sure. I felt something sharp stabbing me in the back. This is all while I was pissing. It turned out to be a stick, and everyone saw that I was back. If another one of my friends didn't call out to me, I would have been scared shitless. It's an SCP, not a creepypasta, but it's called the Yule Man. He appears to be a bald, naked old man of European descent who is unusually tall and pale. He stalks rural secluded houses, usually that have a child 8 or under living there, either eventually leaving a toy made out of human, mostly children's, flesh and bones for the child. In other, more common cases, he brutally tortures the whole family to death, then abducting the child. Numerous children reported him observing them through their windows, and families reported hearing someone walking on their roof, and a foul stench with no apparent origin shortly before incidents. One of the life-size dolls he left for a child was actually found to be an unconscious little girl, with her head scalped and replaced with another girl's scalp and hair, her eyes replaced by little pebbles with crudely drawn eyes on them, her mouth sewn shut, and severely malnourished among various other things. After being treated and given time to recover, she said that apparently he takes the children he abducts to some cave deep underground, where he forces them to make said toys. They can't sleep because if they do, he would do things to them while they were sleeping, like burning them, severing fingers and or toes, taking bites out of them, or in some cases, cooking them alive and then eating them. If a kid stops working, they will stop getting food and eventually get turned into said toys. The little girl later died due to being too severely malnourished. For more info, search up the Yule Man on Google and visit the SCP Wiki, but make sure to avoid looking at the images, as they are very creepy. I don't know if any creepypasta scared me, so to speak, but I remember a few years ago, on one of my previous night shift security jobs, I listened to a reading of the Mr. Bear creepypasta. I can't remember if that's what it's called, but it was that one about children being kidnapped and made to participate in a snuffy television show called Mr. Bear, filmed in a barn in the middle of nowhere. Like I said, it didn't really scare me, but it was really disturbing, and I remember feeling sort of jumpy while listening to it. Another one I liked that I found unnerving but, again, not really scary, is Mr. Trenchfoot. It's fairly short, but it's really one of those that you should listen to someone read, because there's something about it that's so much creepier when you're listening to someone reading it, rather than reading it yourself. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. Please like and subscribe for more videos like this one.